America. My name is Irami O from Pong. I come to you live every Thursday. I'm a little bit late today. I forgot about the show a little bit, but I want to tell you, we can talk to men about manhood, all sorts of things, because a lot of guys have very distorted notions of what it is to be a man. They don't know. They think they know, and they're men, and they're taught a certain way, but it's all screwed up, and so they have distorted notions of gender and responsibilities and what gender means. They have a distorted notion of what gender means. They have a distorted notion of what it is to be a man. We can say that to them. We can tell men that. We can tell men that they are screwed up. They have distorted notions of gender and they have distorted notions of men. We can do that, and you'll get plotted to, and it's a very needed intervention on some class of men. However, we have a hard time doing the same thing about women. But why is it so hard to believe that women have a distorted notion of what gender means, and they have a distorted notion of what it means to be a woman, and that it might be self-serving? They have a notion, and this is why I get in trouble with feminists because I think feminists are a problem. So if you have a distorted notion of what gender means, and you have a distorted notion of of what it means to be a woman, then there needs to be an intervention that happens. And a lot of gender is a kind of a cover for a form of tyranny. And anyone who's been tyrannized by women working under a distorted notion of what it means to be a woman and the entitlements that comes with that, it's supposed to, like, for example, as a black guy, I've been sicked on. Women like to sick authorities onto me for some reason because that's what we do in America. We sick authorities onto black guys. And if you don't understand that as being like an articulated part of womanhood, then like you're distorted about what being like what womanhood is. Um, the ability to sick authorities onto black guys, it's part of what it is. And so you need to understand that that's a perk that some women don't want to give up. Even if they want to be feminists in some way, they don't want to give up that ability to sick authorities onto the random Negro, the area Negro. So there are aspects of womanhood that women don't want to admit are aspects of womanhood that need to be redressed because they're also part of an unjust society. And since all of these identities are kind of worked together, if you have a distorted notion of gender, for example, it'll end up becoming it ends up becoming anti-black really soon, really quickly. For example, if you have a distorted notion of gender that you don't want anyone that you don't think any man has any authority to tell you about, all right. So all of a sudden, your distorted notion of gender goes into no man to tell me not just about what it is to be a woman, but also motherhood. Right. So now I'm in a place where not only I cannot tell you anything about what it is to be a woman, I can't tell you anything about what it is to be a mother. Meanwhile, you're screwing up raising your kid that now I have to deal with. It might shoot me. The Buffalo shooter was given a gun by his mom. The Buffalo shooter, the guy who shot up the grocery store. So I'm not supposed to say that she has a distorted notion of what it is to be a mother. How dare you tell me what it is to be a mother? Well, this is the problem, right? I need to be able to tell you what it is to be a mother because you have a distorted notion of what it is to be a mother because you raise people who shoot people. Um, and so this idea that just because you've worked hard and you love your kid means that you're very good at this thing called mothering is confused. And if you're going to hide under gender about why I can't critique it, that's going to be a confusion too. So we need to talk to women about women. We need to talk to trans people about trans people. I was in a conversation today with a trans person, and they were saying that like, well, they're trans before they enter any room, so it's like it's not as if their identity is realized in the institution. Their identity exists prior to their entering the institution, and I thought that's pretty ridiculous. It's kind of a ridiculous stand to think that you have an identity before you actually participate in any institution. For example, my dad from Ghana, he was not black before he came to the U.S. He was, I mean, he's from his tribe. He spoke Twi. He was from Ghana, but everyone in Ghana is black, right? So, like, you're not black until you're in the U.S. And a lot of white people from, Ireland or Slovakia, or whatever, they weren't white until they came into the U.S. And then they because being white meant they treated black people like that way. So like these identities are constructed through interactions in society, right? So I suggested that like it's possible that she has a kind of a confused notion of how these identities work if you think that they're pre-social in every way. We can't make sense of like you can't make sense of anything about gender or sexuality or anything without social institutions. It's embedded in what it is to be us. Like we're social creatures, so it makes sense that all of these identities are abstract to the point of worthless until we talk about the social institutions through which they are realized. Right. But I'm not supposed to say that because this person was trans, and well, they're trans and wrong about sexuality, and it's hard critiquing trans people who are wrong about sexuality because they put a lot of time and effort and hormones and paperwork into like becoming what they are, and I support them and I'll confirm them. Like that's why confirmation is relevant because it's socially constructed. Because if it happened before that, like the society, confirmations wouldn't be that big of a deal. But so it's hard. They put in all this effort only to be fundamentally, not fundamentally, but deeply confused about what it means to be gender. That's on them. But I'm not going to hush about it because it ends up being my problem because that identity ends up um, distorting other identities. For